alien.
At first. Hi, welcome to Soul Talk Podcast. This is the first one of 2024. Exciting. And I'm with the lovely Lauren Goodwin.
It's so strange to hear that because people know me as Lauren Dwyer. So
definitely. I had to think about that when I just said it.
When the postman comes, he's like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "I don't know." What have you got on the
I hovered in my head with it and then went, "Go with Goodwin."
Go with Goodwin. That is my name, yeah.
So, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I am strange just when people say that. So I am a mum. I have a business. I have quite a few businesses.
Yeah,
I think that's quite defined me for a long time. So I think I'm recently, within the last year, trying to find myself. So yeah, that's mainly about me. I have work, I have jobs, and I have humans. So
how old are you now? Don't me asking.
I'm now 34.
What?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I'm 34.
Yeah, you're going 35 this time.
Yeah, we just had to put that there, didn't we? Actually, you don't get to stay 34. So I've got I think about 5 weeks left.
Oh really? Oh really?
Now.
Oh, that's
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Do you know how I just said you look so young for your age? Like you literally look a lot younger than I thought.
How old do I look?
I thought you were in your 20s still.
Yeah, I wish. No, do you know what? I don't know. I wouldn't wish that.
I've just never thought you were coming into your 30s for some reason. I just thought you was like invincible.
Yeah, I feel invincible most of the time until I've had one drink.
Yeah, and then I realised that
not invincible anymore.
That's
I am old.
That's it.
I'm not old.
So when's your birthday?
October.
Oh right, okay. So you're a year younger than me.
Literally a year, yeah. So yeah. But do you not forget how old you are?
I feel like I was the other way. I used to forget how old I were in my 20s.
Oh, right.
But for some reason in my 30s, it's like, no, you are 34 whether you like it or not. And we always do in classes, we'll sit down and do circle time. And we'll say right, what's your name and your age? And so I have to say it weekly.
Oh yeah, so you reiterate it.
Sometimes I try and say I'm 21 and they go, no, you're not. You said you were 34 last week. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm 34.
You seem to be 35, babe.
I know, well, that might get some used to. Getting used to.
You'll be 34 and a bit.
Because then once you're 35, I feel like you go over this threshold.
Yeah.
It's you're more towards 40.
Yeah, but do you know what? I remember turning 30 and I was devastated.
Were you?
Yeah, because I thought I still felt 22.
Yeah.
I was like, how am I 34 when I feel so young? How am I in my 30s when I feel so young? But now I'm kind of I'm happy with where I am.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I feel exactly the same. I was so apprehensive about going 30. And then I just felt like this rush of I've got to try and do this and this because this is what I thought I was going to do before.
Yeah. You had a milestone. When I'm 30, I'm going to do this and do this and do this.
Yeah.
And it's funny because people still say oh, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, I'm still trying to figure it out. And I'm 34. I remember at school thinking 34 was really old.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I'm still figuring it out and that's okay. There's
no
pressure.
That's it.
And I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the vibe of just trying to figure it all out.
And so what were your milestones as such?
When I was younger, I remember when I was younger, I was like, right, I'm going to have a baby by 25. In fact, I wanted a baby younger, but it just didn't work. And that was what it was meant to be.
Yeah.
But I wanted a baby by 25, which when I look back now, I'm like, that was really young. Yeah. Really young.
Yeah.
And I did have a baby by 25. Then I wanted to be married by 26 and that happened.
Right.
And then after that was kind of I remember when I was 25, I wanted to have my own business.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm going to be self-employed.
Yeah, because I feel like you got straight to that, though. I've always known you as
self-employed.
You've always been creative, doing your thing.
Yeah. That's my vibe. That's the the adrenaline. That's where I get the good vibes from. I had, especially I remember during lockdown, because everyone was trying to find their own way and everything. And during lockdown, I was like, what is fulfilling me? What is fulfilling me with all this homeschooling and everything else? What's fulfilling me? And I was like, I need to draw, or I need to paint, or I need to, and the amount of stuff that I painted in lockdown was unreal.
So you paint? I didn't know.
Yeah, I do like wall murals, jackets.
Yeah, well, of course. Like, actually, I should know that from the designs and obviously you've done. Yeah. Because for those that don't know, like you can design a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember actually your clothing range.
Yeah.
I actually just dug out the top.
Did you
from
really?
That shoot? That's so and was like, oh my god.
Yeah. It's been a journey. So 8 years ago, I quit my job and I said to my family, I'm quitting my job, and everyone was like,
and what was your job?
I was a sales associate at a phone shop.
Oh, right. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I just had my eldest, and I said, I'm going to quit my job. And everyone went, you are crazy. And I went, but if I don't do it now, I never will. And they said, but what about your mortgage and everything? And I went, it'll give me the drive to do it. And it literally did. And it's 8 years. And every single year I go, wow. And it started off with a fashion business. And it thrived. And then I did really, really, really well. And then I had my second child, and it wasn't diagnosed, but I had postnatal anxiety and also postnatal depression with my youngest. And it was very strange and very difficult because I was juggling a fashion business on my maternity wage and my one day loo in work, and then trying to keep that afloat to pay the bills whilst having a baby. And the pressure was unreal. It was horrible. And I thought, I can't keep doing this. It's not sustainable. And because I was putting in like a lot of hours before I had the baby, like I was printing up until I was like,
I can imagine.
Ready to go.
I can imagine.
They were like, in fact, they actually said to me, you need to stop because you are just going to pop on in the studio. So I had Isla, and then it was about a year of just struggling. Like, she was nursed, so I was constantly with her on me, like wrapped, doing work, and it was hard. And then lockdown happened, so I rebranded the business, and then it did really well again, but I didn't love it. And I always said, if I don't love it, I'm not doing it. If I'm not so excited every morning to run downstairs to do it, I'm not doing it.
Do you know, I always ran with that line myself. It's literally what if I've ever sort of got lost in stuff, I've had to go back to
your roots.
Do you really love this? Because I would rather have a lot less money. But wake up
and be happy.
And do you know what's funny when you say that? It's actually not how it ends up turning out. You actually, because you love it so much, end up abundantly actually getting a lot in return for it. And so you always have enough.
That's
and you're always well looked after because you love it and the passion.
People see that and they're like, she loves it. Like, she must. I loved seeing kids. I watched kids for years grow up in my products, and it was incredible. And I was like, yay, that's my design. Or I'd see people and they'd be like, I got your t-shirt, and I'm like, oh my god, they know who I am. It was so exciting. But then lockdown happened, and I rebranded, and I went more eco-friendly, and I went more like, I did a hell of a lot of research into like sustainable fashion and things like that. I didn't love it. And I was like, I don't love this, but I'm going to do it because it's paying the bills, and I'm just going to keep pursuing it. But I remember thinking, I don't love this, and I don't know why I'm doing it. And then a company approached me and said, who I use for screen printing, they said, you've been a really good customer, and we really love you to be on part of our team and teach people how to screen print. And I was like,
that's ace.
And
so what was that company called? Is this the Hunt the Moon?
Hunt the Moon,
Right. I did always wonder how that came about.
I was their customer for 4 years. And then they said, come and join our team. And I said, okay. And I joined their team. And I've worked with them every single week for 4 years now. And And then that opened up opportunities, because then we started doing live television and things like that. And then other companies started approaching me and like, we want to work with you. And then because it then evolved into like the wellness side, which is what my heart is 100% into. Because it started doing that, other companies started approaching me and being like, we'd love to work with you. And then it was great, but I only ever work with companies that I genuinely love.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these people that, like, if anyone says, oh, can you
you'll just sort of jump to the opportunity. It's got to sort of align with what you do.
My beliefs and everything. And I think the more you learn about yourself, the more you naturally find these companies, like algorithm. I'm like, oh so it's been a real journey. So now it's more, I do the content creating, but then that turned into photography, and then it kind of
so this is how the photography came round.
The photography was just a hobby.
You're like a jack of a lot of trades.
I like to
all creative, but you can do a lot. But I love that sometimes, like me and Adam have spoke about this before, and he's someone who's like a jack of all trades. And then I feel like, although I've obviously dipped into the clothing brands and other projects and stuff before, ultimately my expertise is dance. And then we were sort of like comparing sort of pros and cons of both, because I don't think either is better than the other.
They both
I think it's that's it, they've got their own pros and cons. But I admire people who are a jack of all trades, because I feel like it just broadens your knowledge, and you've got options to be able to sort of chop and change, because your skill base is, I suppose, bigger.
I think for me, I just have to be creative, and I found that in lockdown. I had to do something. I was itchy. I was like, I need to get out. And then I remember I did a photography course, and then I took pictures of my kids, and then people were like, oh, that's cute. And I was like, oh, and they're like, can I book you? And I was like, okay. And then I got published in a photography magazine, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm all right at it. Like, because I am my own worst enemy. I think everybody is. But I was like, you always critique, like, oh, am I good enough for this? Am I good? And then I'm like, actually, you're all right. So just keep pushing it. And so I've done photography now for 3 years, and I love that. But I love because I do lots of different things. So it's not just, if it was purely photography, I think I'd be a little bit like, craving something else.
Do you not think that comes with like being creative though, that I don't know what that is. I don't know if I can creatively get bored. I don't know if that's creative or not, actually.
No,
I get bored, and I need to. I'm constantly feel like I'm looking for the next thing to do. This is probably the first time I'm settling.
Really?
Not settling's the wrong word.
You're like content with where you're at.
Yeah, I'm just trying to really be present with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And not looking ahead at anything else.
Yeah, I'm working on that. Really, it's hard.
It is.
Because you end up going,
That's probably been like quite challenging. The most challenging thing I've done in a while is
just be present.
Yeah. And my mind just wanders, both past and future. And I've just gone, no, let's just come back to like now. Like today's enough.
See, I think my mind wanders to like what I need to do next. Oh, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this. Like today, for example, I went food shopping, boring, came home, made the food, and then I was like, I'm going to meal prep for a week. I did actually do it.
Did you?
Yeah, I was like, woohoo.
That's good, because I was like...
Well, I'm constantly like...
needing to do something.
But then I do that, and then I'm like, right, what now? And then I'm like, you need to sit down. You've literally not sat down. Like this is the first time I sat down, other than literally scoffing my food. I'm like, no. And I think it's just being in the moment. And I think as well, because we're in a day and age where it's phones all the time, continuously, we're constantly, when we get a moment to ourselves, we automatically go to the phone. And it's like, it's just being in that moment. And in a way, like, meditating, but not.
We're just gonna say, do you meditate?
I do a lot of random weird things, and meditation is one of them. But I found that I do meditate, and I do cold exposure, so I jump in.
I mean, I call it crazy. Other people would be like, and I'm just like, I feel cold. You just telling me that?
I jump in a cold ice barrel every morning, or I have a cold shower. Or I go wild swimming like I did yesterday. I did wild swimming.
And I've been seeing loads of posts about this. And do you know what I think? What this week's thought was, because I update you on my thoughts on this. So last time I was like, God, she's nuts. And then this time I've been like, oh, she must really like this, because you are in a routine of
going and
doing the cold, either cold shower, cold swimming.
Well, the reason why I did the cold is because I saw how beneficial it was for other people's illnesses, so like autoimmune illnesses and things like that. So I saw firsthand on it how it helped somebody, and I was like, there's something in this. Now I suffer a lot from anxiety, health anxiety in particular.
Is that something you would say you still
No, not
struggling
as
now?
much. No,
Okay.
because of the cold.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us more.
So I find every single morning I got myself in a really unhealthy habit of basically body surveillancing. So that's checking your body, making sure everything's okay. You're not going to die any moment or anything like that. So you become a bit obsessive, right?
Right.
And basically, I had a friend who sadly passed away, and it made me really conscious of it.
Is this a mutual friend?
It was no, it's a friend who I met online actually through the business. She passed away from breast cancer, and I was like, oh my God, she was really young. And so it starts triggering things for you. Right. And I was like, oh my God, this is horrific. What if that happened to me? And then, I started becoming like checking my body to make sure I was healthy. But what I was actually doing was really unhealthy. Like my mind was like, "Oh my God, you need to protect yourself."
But you can understand why you.
So I understood what triggered it, but I was finding an unhealthy coping mechanism to deal with it. I find that jumping in the ice barrel, where you think you're going to die and then you realize you're not, is a mind over matter.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. That's mentally actually. Turns a lot around, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, the first thing you wake up and you think, "Oh, I've got to get up." My mindset is, "Oh, I've got to go and get in the ice barrel."
So tell me about like the first time you got in. Cold water.
So the first time I got in the cold water was actually the 4th of January. It was outdoors on a walk with a dog, with my dog.
Okay. Is this you just woke up one day and was like,
I just thought I'm going to try it.
I'm going to go and do this.
I do a lot of Wim Hof breathing. I followed Wim Hof for
Do you know, recently my mum actually told me to look at this person, and I was just laughing about the Hof things, but we're called Hof for short. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I had heard of it before, but never actually looked at how to do it.
So Wim Hof basically is a man. He is incredible. I've met him personally.
Oh, wow,
he's such a lovely man. And he basically created a breathing technique and cold exposure, so you get into cold bath or cold shower, etc. And it helped him a lot when he sadly lost his wife.
Right.
So it was his coping mechanism, but it's a healthy coping mechanism as opposed to an unhealthy one that I had, which was body surveillance every day. And so I went and I said to my family, no, I didn't tell many people because I thought I would be crazy. I said, I'm going to go in the river. So I had my swimming costume underneath because I knew I was going to go in, and it was about 3 degrees of water.
I was going to say January.
It was fresh. Let's put it that way. And I only was able to go in because of the current to my waist, and it infuriated me because I wanted to go full on in.
Right. Okay.
Now the ironic thing is, I have a huge fear of water because
I remember you telling me this
because I nearly drowned twice when I was a child.
Yeah.
So I had an unusual fear of water but yet craved to go in the water because it made me realize that my biggest fear is myself, basically, and it's what I limit myself to.
I was going to say mentally that you're sort of conquering more than just fear of water there.
Yeah, it's like this is a mental. Like, I can't be underwater. It's terrifying.
So fear of yourself. What do you mean?
I think it's the fear that you give not the fear of myself, ideally, like me fearing myself, but you put fear on yourself, like
as in like that was fear you'd put in yourself rather than
so for example
something externally.
So I think there's different ways of I see this, but if you have like fear in yourself, ultimately the biggest fear is fear, isn't it? Like that you can feel like anyone can have a trigger that fears them. Like some people are fearful of spiders or fearful of when I was little I was absolutely terrified of fire.
Right. Okay.
So little things can trigger you, but it is literally what you have just told yourself. It's your narrative.
Why
are you scared of spiders? Why are you scared of the water? Well, obviously I've had an experience where it nearly killed me. But does it mean it's going to do it again? No, but it does mean be precautious, but not to a point where it limits you and stops you from doing something. And that's what I learned. And literally going into the water is like checking that fear every morning. Like, you're all right. You don't need to fear this. This is cool. You are safe. And I think once you start feeling safe, you start thinking, well, what else am I fearful of? And start thinking you can like grab the bull by the horns and go, yeah, what else am I going to take on today? And they're like, oh my God, what you doing?
Let's go skydiving tomorrow. Or what you like with heights?
I don't mind heights. No, it doesn't bother me. Heights don't bother me. Do you know what? I think because I'm a mum, the biggest fear is leaving my kids.
Okay.
So like, I think, oh my God, I wouldn't put myself in a position of skydiving in case something happened.
I mean, I don't know about this.
No,
I don't think we've ever actually spoke about this. So I've actually met your dad once.
Yeah.
I think during the shoot we were doing actually, because we'd gone to the beach.
Yeah.
Is that St. Anne's?
Yeah, St. Anne's. That was many years ago.
It's up to you if you want to share about.
Yeah, I don't mind talking about it.
Yeah, I don't actually.
Yeah, so I think as well, especially when I was like, I'm trying to think of like when everyone has different fear triggers, don't they? They have like a fear trigger of like what fears them. But which event do you mean? What did you mean when we was at the beach?
Yeah, no, I mean the stuff about your mum. I'd actually know. You know, you were saying like you think that's triggered one of your fears.
Yeah, I think as like the thought, like I'm really, really, really close to my mum. She's like my best friend. And then I was really, really close to my grandma. And then as the generations come down, you're like, oh my God. And then I think I get scared of like leaving my kids, you know, without me. And I think that's why I don't do the risks that I would have done 10 years ago, like skydiving and things like that. I think I'd have been like, what if something happens? But this is like the fear and the anxiety.
Is your mum still?
Yeah, my mum's here. Yeah, my mum.
Right,
she's still rocking. But I was really close to my grandma, but she passed away 2 years ago, and that was a massive fear before she passed away. But then when she did, I was kind of like content with it because she was 93.
Oh, and that's that's such a long life.
Yeah, she's like,
I'm hearing more and more of people living
longer
until the 90s and all of it, 'cause I'm just like, wow, how much they must have seen and experienced in that time.
Well, because we watched a documentary about World War II.
Oh,
and
wow,
we were like, my grandma would have seen this. Like, she would have been a young girl. Like, she used to talk to me about it, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, she used to tell about how she used to hide under the stairs, and I was like, that was just scary. And she was like, yeah, it was, but I don't think she understood. And then she said, oh, and then I used to get like a ticket to buy some chocolate because it was in rations. Oh, and she said that she would save the chocolate and like have like a corner at a time to do it. And I was like, that's incredible, isn't it?
Do you know, in terms of like level of abundance of like what we have in resources now, and honestly, like
it's crazy.
It takes having a conversation like that sometimes, doesn't it? To go, God, we're blessed. Like how much things have developed and changed.
And I think that's it. If you see yourself as blessed every single day, whatever your circumstance, you see more blessings. You see more things that are like, that's a good thing, and that's a good thing. And I saw this thing, and it really changed my mindset. And it wasn't I have to do this; it's I get to do this.
Yes.
And I was like, that is my.
You know, I love this about you though, because you've taught me a lot about this, of the changing of what you say to yourself.
Your words
so
are powerful.
So
my goodness, so powerful. And I think, like, I go to the gym, and my gym wife says horrible stuff about herself all the time, and I go, no, check it, no, and it's changing. She's changed the narrative about her, the way she speaks about herself, and I'm like,
my mum is like that with me, and I really have needed her to do that, because, and she'll switch it around and I'm someone, I have to be so, I mean, you've seen me in full swing with this, I have to be so overly dramatic before I see reason, get to the positive stuff and calm down. And then I always wonder with my mum how she can just keep so calm and positive in situations, and it's because she's mindfully just switching those words around, and then she'll sort of it's a different perspective as well.
Of course it is.
Her rewording my words, and then I'm just like, I just immediately calm down. And I'm just like, wow, that's nowhere near a big deal as what it were 2 minutes ago.
No, but
and
I just needed to breathe.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're always well looked after. And I'm like, oh yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Thank you for just helping me pull my shit together.
Yeah, I think
and so it's just learning that yourself, isn't it?
Yeah. It gives you clarity that and I think as well, we get so like, oh, I'm not enough, and society tells us we're not enough, or you post things online.
It plays a massive part, doesn't it? And I think who you're around
as
well. So like, I feel like when we sit and speak to each other, and we're just talking about like soul tribe and having your tribe of people, and ultimately you really want the people you're surrounded by to sort of reflect what you're trying to do yourself. So you want people to be able to turn your negative stuff into positive things and remind you of the inner work you're already trying to do. And so when we're together, I know we just like try and like switch it around, and we're like, check that one.
Yeah, just check it. Just
try this, because this is like, do you know what I mean?
Because I think if we are mindful of our words, especially to ourselves, I saw this thing, and I had a little picture of me as a little girl sat on my dresser, and every time I said something horrible to myself, I would remember that picture and go, say it to her. Say that to her. And I was like, no, I'm not saying it to me, like as a baby, like I was cute. And then I was like, don't say it to yourself, man. Don't say it now, because the 34-year-old you is still the 4-year-old you, and you know what I mean. It's just another version of you.
I've been reading a lot lately on inner child work.
Yeah, love inner child.
Yeah, same. And do you know what? I'm actually, although I've always been aware of it and done bits towards healing it, have read a book recently that I need to, and actually like, I'm going to give her a shout out. She's called Stephanie Keith.
Okay.
And she actually messaged me back, so I messaged her to say, this book had just like changed my perspective and stuff. Like I knew stuff about The Secret and affirmations, and obviously we're talking about positive self-talk as well, and changing things around. And that becoming like your normal everyday thinking, because like you're saying, we're like really conditioned by like society and that affects a lot.
And our upbringing as well. Like,
that's it, and our upbringing.
Yeah, massive.
And so stuff like that is actually the inner child needs loads of work, because it's the stuff from that moment that we've brought into our adult lives. And this was something I looked at like years ago, actually, with Panda. We was looking at childhood trauma, and honestly to this day is one of my favorite best pieces we've ever done, because of how much I learned from it and the impact it had. And it was about looking at the root of problems, going right back
look
to
at the trigger.
Where's the trigger, and what's the trauma that you're carrying. And so like I love that you do that. So I've been imagining sort of like hugging and comforting my inner child, and giving it the love and the words that she needed
then. But now you're giving it her.
That's it.
I did this, and I think a lot of people are like, you just overthink things, and I'm like, no, I don't. Like when you break it down, so everything, if something triggers you, there has been a trigger point. What was that point? That could have been when you were born. It could have been at 2.
And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be something so small.
It could be anything. Like it literally can. And I think once you realize, like I've done so much inner child work, and like, because there's certain things that I was like that I didn't like about myself. So I didn't like how I reacted when somebody did this or did this. And I acted like the 12-year-old me, or that because she was stuck, and it was she needed help to be just pulled through and be like, okay, now we're here. You're an adult. You are safe. Like you're okay. Like when I was at school, and I know a lot of like your girls are at school, like high school, but I was bullied, like horrifically bullied. Like the stuff that they did, they used to steal my handbags to wee in it. You know, like they were nasty.
Oh, you're joking.
Yeah. And I think it just, when you're at that age, I mean, at this age I was like 14, 15. And I was like, why do they not like me? And if any boy would show interest, they would be like, don't go out with her. And I was like, I'm not good enough, you know, like because of what other people said. And then for a long time, I took that narrative with me because of what other people had told me.
And what's going on in that time, and when you're still growing, it stays with you.
Of course
like,
it does.
That's everything that you start to reflect out of them, because like,
you believe it. It becomes, well, they said it must be true. And it's like, well, no, not really, but because it's your narrative. And sometimes in any aspect of life, what's your narrative? Like, what is your narrative? Are you a victim? Are you do you know what I mean? Are you the one that people pleases? What is your narrative? And if you don't like it, you genuinely can change it. And that is literally what I've been working on. It's just, my narrative was, can't trust men. Even though I've been in a long relationship, I can't trust men through my childhood, and it's like, well, why can't you? Why can't you trust men? because, well, when I was a kid, this happened, and it's like nothing bad, but it was like, but you're around people that you can trust now.
Yeah.
But I never let the barrier down. I never let it down. And then I started doing work on myself. I'm like, look at everything, look at the situation.
You spend all that time just really trying to put a wall up and protect yourself, because
I don't
you just don't want to
hurt.
ever feel like that
again.
And ultimately, I think that's what a lot of people just want to do. So it's, for me, like, I was also like bullied at school. I went to an all-girls school for the first year.
Really? I didn't know
I did actually. I went to a private school. I would say it was probably more my parents wanting me to go than myself, really. But then at the same time, didn't realise I had the ability to get in the first place. Right, yeah. But I think for me, I'm just very like girl next door, just like just normality, really. Yeah. And that's what I sort of craved as a child. And I lasted till Easter.
Really?
It was like my first experience. I know. I mean, I tried hard. That was a push.
I'm impressed.
You know, and I had to have like my shoes at a certain like measurement. Really? I couldn't dye my hair. I just had dyed my hair pink and really wasn't forced. And these were sort of my rebellious years now, where I was like finding a bit more about myself. Of course, yeah. And so then I ended up at just regular mainstream school, but I was the new girl, and everyone had like
made settled in. Yeah.
And it's that same thing. Yeah, there was so much that, and I was quite like big as a child as well. So yeah, oh my gosh, I was a right chubster.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
adorable.
No, literally, like I would say by like year 4 or 5, my stomach was like big enough for me not to be able to see my feet.
Really?
Yeah, like I was really overweight, but I was constantly just comfort eating these feelings and stuff all the time. And so exactly like when you told you're fat or you're this, that, you carry it with you all the time. So like now, if I put any sort of bit of weight on,
you
panic straight away. Can't seem to like, I know what the trigger is.
Yeah.
And so it's starting to train my body of like, and now I'm slowly now. I mean, it's not all the time.
It's a process.
That's it. It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to keep on top of it. And now I just go, oh, but I'm actually quite comfortable in my skin now.
Yeah.
And that's taken so much work.
Yeah, and that's incredible. It's funny because I'm naturally very petite. I always have been. I got horrifically bullied for being petite. Right, you're too skinny. I had a name of Rizzler because the cigarette papers.
Wow.
And they used to call me Riz, and then they were like, oh, don't go with Riz. And I remember, and I was like at the time I was like, it hurt. But then as I got older, I was like, oh my God, I'm skinny. And then they kept saying, you'll always be skinny. And I was like, okay. But now I've literally been going to the gym, and I've been working on myself, and I've gained like a stone, and I'm the happiest I've ever been. I feel the most confident in my own skin. I've had 2 kids, and I'm like, oh yeah.
I mean, it was amazing. You would never have during your even during your pregnancy. So I was like, where is
it was just bumps, and then the back was just normal. But I think it's being comfortable in your skin, and everybody's got flaws, and everybody's got issues.
Literally, even
nobody's perfect.
No one is perfect. There will be people out there who, you know, and we all do it. I mean, no one wants to post the failures or be posting themselves when you are supposed to not looking your best, whatever, depending on
but I
what
think
you do.
That's what I try and do on my page, is I try and show both realms. Because I'm very much, this is the Instagram versus reality.
That's it.
And I think that's really important. And I think we were saying a minute ago, it's your own narrative that you say to yourself. So you don't want to, this was it. So when you were saying about like what people say to themselves, the amount of times I go on photo shoots with beautiful, empowering women and men, most are women, and the women go, could you Photoshop? And I go, nope. No.
Literally.
Not doing it.
And you know, I think we're now going into a time of accepting our natural features.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like we've been through a phase of like lip fillers and stuff now. Yeah. We are going to get to a point where it's
natural.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting there slowly, isn't it? With the clean girl aesthetic. I mean, I can't keep up with most of these trends.
I know. I was like to my eldest, like, what does this mean? And she went, that's sus. And I'm like, what the heck does that?
Oh my God, sus. I've literally been in this loads.
I was like, what does that mean?
Oh, using this word.
I googled, what is sus?
I had to Google TIA because it's short for thank you in advance. I was like, why is everyone called Tia? Why is everyone putting Tia at the
Tia, why who's Tia? She was called Ruth.
And then I was like, I just asked someone once, and I was like, what's that? And they were like, oh, thank you in advance. I was like, oh, well, thanks.
Yeah, it's so funny. You can't keep up with it, and I think,
yeah,
but I think that really worries me because I think with like social media and stuff, the pressure for people to be like,
I feel like we were the last generation.
Yeah, before that.
Before it got crazier.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we've been able to just about rescue ourselves.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like we've mentally had the option to be able to turn things around.
Yeah.
And now I feel like it's sort of like split in two ways now. It's either people are going to be so lost and so programmed in their minds that they're not going to know anything outside of that. And then the other side is like, at the same time, social media has made everyone more aware of mindfulness and meditation and stuff, that there'll be people who are already sort of on that journey. And it feels very split into like very different worlds now.
And I get that. And I think I'm very mindful now with what I cover my Instagram page with and who I follow and who I on like TikTok and things like that. Like I literally just follow like empowering speeches and like run that and like,
horoscopes and mantras. Literally is all
like good vibes only. And then I'll hear a quote. I'm like, I got a video for that. I'm going to inspire other people because it's inspired me. You know, like just to pass it on. Like I don't gatekeep in any aspect. I'm very much, I want to help people. So I'm like,
I feel like I've always felt like that about
I'm going to tell and share everything that I know. And people are like, we didn't ask. I'm like, you don't care.
I want to tell you anyway. That's it. It might help.
And this is what I've really found the most empowering thing is the amount of men and women that message me and say thank you. And I'm like, who are you? Like, I genuinely don't even know who you are. But they've followed the journey and they've followed like my feeling down, rebranding, gaining weight, going to the gym. And you know what? The biggest thing I've learned is fill your own cup up. You can't fill anyone else's cup if yours is not full. And because
I feel like every time we've spoke, we've always come back to that of like, you have to do that.
And I think as well, I put everybody's needs before mine. And I was like, hold up, who's looking after me? I'm looking after me. And
because I mean, you had years of
I had years where I had
second.
For everything. Like I had a very poorly partner, and it was like and between like it makes me emotional, but between like hospital visits and everything, I had to be the masculine and the feminine. And I think that now.
So you're gonna set me off?
No,
I've got this thing at the moment where if someone cries, and I don't do crying in front of people, I've opened a floodgate this year. Anyone who cries, I automatically cry.
But that's like an emotional connection as well. That's really cool. But I put myself last between everybody, and then I was like, why am I exhausted? Why am I like running out of energy, and I'm tired and I'm stressed? And then I realized it's been a long journey. I started getting horrifically bad spots and everything, and I was like, oh my god, what am I doing? So I cut out dairy. And the dairy helped to a degree, but it more helped in my figure as opposed to my skin.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't really know what to do with this. So I kept trying to seek for an answer. And then I found a skincare routine that really worked. And I was like, brilliant. So I found the products that worked for me, but they're still having outbreaks. Why? And then I realized it's stress. And because for 10 to 15 years, I run my body down. I was literally there for everybody else. No matter what, I would never say no to anybody. And I've realised now there's only power in your yes if you say no. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so I don't know. I haven't heard that one
So
before.
If I say yes to everything, there's no power in that yes then, because I do it to everything. But if I say no, then the yes is powerful because I won't just say yes for that reason. And that was
exclusive.
like, that's like, limited edition. And I'm only giving out one of these a day. But it's when you start doing that, if you start saying no, you realize who's around as well.
What do you think that's about? Why?
Like people grow apart.
Why do we feel, why did we feel? Because I feel like I'm on that journey as well of no has to exist in my vocabulary.
Somewhere.
Definitely. Similar to you.
It's people pleasing.
just lived in survival mode for many years. And so why do we feel so bad about saying no?
I think because what we think is if we say no, ultimately we're trying to people please. So if we say no to people, then they won't like us and we want them to like us. So we go, no.
And it's like
we just do it for the sake of it. And then you're unhappy.
But are we taking that back to how we felt growing up?
Yeah.
And our own self-love?
Yeah. Self-love is massive. Like you obviously didn't love yourself. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to seek external love
validation,
and external validation.
Yeah.
And you're never going to get it.
No.
And I've realised this because I was constantly trying to make everyone else love me. I didn't love myself.
Yes.
And he's like, but you can't expect someone to love you if you don't love yourself. And I think once you accept who you are and you go, you know what, this is me.
Yeah.
And if you don't love it, then I don't mind.
And then you start to attract
people,
the right things for you, because when you love yourself, you're giving out that vibration of, okay, I'm ready to receive this sort of love, and I'm ready to take this now. And you're not putting out the, oh, I want this, but I don't actually feel like I deserve it.
So I'm not going to get it. Because I don't feel like I deserve it, I won't get it.
Yeah, that's
Whereas you see so many people that say, I've been in relationship after relationship and it's always ends the same and it's always the same. I always attract the same people, because that's your beliefs. Your belief
is haven't changed internally. Yeah.
Because the amount of like my friends and like, it was a red flag. And I was like, but he waved it from day one. And they're like, yeah, but
and
it was my type.
Other people can see it.
Yeah, and they were like, but he was my type. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, stop chasing.
Yeah.
Do inner work.
Yeah.
Now, we briefly mentioned this, but obviously no relationships are easy and hard, but we were on like a cusp of what do we do? Do we move forward, or do we, do we not separate, but we try and work out how to work this out? And I sat there and I was really upset because I didn't know what my direction of life would be. And I went,
especially with something you're so used to.
Yeah,
it's been part of your life.
It's comfort as well, isn't it? You get so comfortable doing things, but sometimes that's not healthy.
No.
Just because you're comfortable and you're scared of change.
Yeah.
I'd be scared more of being in a relationship that wasn't empowering and wasn't like, this is what, like, build each other up.
Yeah.
And obviously we'd had to grow a lot because a lot had happened. And I sat there, it was New Year, not the one just gone, the one before. And I cried. I remember crying and I'm going, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen in a year's time. And someone just said, it doesn't matter. You got yourself, you are going to be all right. You've got to work on yourself. And then I made everybody aware that I am going to work on myself, and that is final.
And that journey is going to continue no matter what.
And it has to. You always have to be working. And I think when I was like, yeah, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep working on me to be a better version of me for everybody else. And I think you start surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Like the people I've met in the last 8 months have been the most empowering and liberating friendships and relationships that I've ever had. And I'm like, that's what you need. You need to surround yourself with like-minded people who will literally be your cheerleader.
You found your soul tribe.
No, I found a soul tribe. But that's what you need.
Yeah.
You need and I was for so long trying to hold on to people because it was comfortable and it was what I knew.
Yeah.
But they weren't building me up.
Yeah.
They weren't filling my cup up when I needed it. But I was overflowing theirs.
Yeah.
Do you know? And it's about learning. I know my worth.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally get that. I've moved out of many friendship groups.
Yeah.
Many. And now I don't have like
just like a set
group of friends who will know each other.
No, I don't.
I'm friends with people that I can connect with ultimately now, whereas definitely before I just didn't think I was like aware of your stuff. And I actually said this to like a recent few friends that I've been spending time with, and felt like I could say this to them, which was a big thing. And I was like, do you know what? I'd never had friends like you before because I didn't think I deserved it.
Oh, that's so cute.
I was like,
it's nice that you believe that you realised you do deserve it.
And I was like, I didn't even feel like an idiot for saying it to them. And the response was just like, but you do.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, it's like, I got friends. That's my friend that I have forever. Do you know what I mean? And you need that. I think
you need someone who
people reflect their own work and journey on you sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can get a bit confused with that because I'm quite, as warm as I am, I can really cut off from stuff where it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I have to learn to work through stuff before I make decisions like that. Yeah. But sometimes I can be like, I don't feel good, cut it off.
Yeah.
Because that's mentally like what I've probably always done. Yeah. When stuff is gone. Okay, I don't like that. But
like give up, barrier. Yeah. Like, wall up, done.
Put my wall up. Yeah. Can't do that anymore now because I don't actually know how to like respond with it. And so like that, and that takes work and stuff. Yeah. But like, definitely. So going back to the inner child thing, so I've been looking in the mirror.
Right, okay.
And just been like, you are safe.
Yeah.
You are loved.
Oh, yes.
And just like saying, I love you.
Yeah.
And like the first time I did it.
Did you cry?
Oh my God, like a baby literally was like, why is this? Yeah. Didn't think it was going to set me off. Yeah. And now I get to the point where I sort of get giggly.
Yeah.
So that in fact, I wish I could have actually recorded the journey of just that on its own. Yeah. So I get up and I looked in the mirror and I was looking at myself. And then now I look in the mirror and I'm like, whoa, I've got like cool stuff going on in my eyes there.
Yeah.
Like actually now I feel like I look past there.
Yeah, you're looking into the soul and your detail and everything.
And that is weird. Yeah. That was only last week actually.
Really?
And it sort of gave me a moment of like, yeah, this is working, keep going.
Yeah.
What you're doing now, now you're looking at yourself differently.
Yeah. But it's funny, similar to that, I do that, but I high five myself.
Oh, I love that.
Honest to God. So I heard it from, I think it was Mel Robbins. She said in the morning, because everyone in the morning goes up and goes, I look tired, I've got a spot, oh my God, like criticism. As soon as you look in the mirror,
I do, yeah.
And I used to do it. I used to be horrific. I go in, I can literally have one eye open. I don't even know what I'm looking at, but I'll high five her.
Oh, I love that.
Now, what happens when you high five somebody? It releases endorphins. It releases a chemical release that makes you feel good. So do you know when you high five someone, you're like, yeah, you feel pumped because it actually chemistry. Yeah.
Oh, that was a good one. That as well.
But it releases a chemical, so you afterwards are like, yeah, you feel good. Yeah. So you see someone you high five them, you connect with them, like
I mean, I generally high five people all the time. Yeah. I actually had a group. As a teacher,
of course,
mainly. I just want to high 10 and high five. That's probably like my go-to praise. And I actually had a team who were at comp yesterday, but I was judging a different comp, and I felt like really weird about not being there with them because it's very, very rare I'm not there.
Yeah.
And so I was like, guys, I'm video calling you tonight because we got to do the virtual high five.
Yeah.
And they were like laughing. I mean, I'd done it in person, but I was like, no, I have to do this because it means something.
Yeah.
And so we just did it on the screen. I just went round and was like, right, high five screen, high five. And I just, you know, it
makes
a connection.
You feel great. It's a connection with people. And I think that obviously we've lost connections with like lockdown because people were scared to touch each other. Yeah. And now it's like, no, high five who you want. Well, within reason, they want. But if you
and then we turned it into like, let's fist bump everybody.
Or elbow.
I forgot about that. It's mad how quickly you forget about stuff.
Yeah, it is. And it just becomes like the new
normal. Yeah.
But yeah, the high five is a massive thing. Like, and then also, and I get this, my girls do this. I stand in the mirror and I go, right, what do we like about ourselves? And then like they're like, I like my hair, and I'm like, I like my hair. Yeah, I like my And if you stand in front of people, they become a reflection of you. So when you have children and you stand there in front of the mirror and you're going, oh, this is big. Yes. This is this. Yes, I wish my boobs were bigger. I wish it. They see that. And they go, my mum is beautiful and she's very similar, some figure like me. And I remember watching her in the mirror and saying horrible things about herself. Yeah. And I used to go, no, mummy, stop doing that. And I was little. And then I got older and I started doing it. And I remember when I just had Isla, and no, it was a while after I'd had Isla and I'd stopped breastfeeding and my boobs were not as they used to be. Yeah. And I was like, I hate my boobs and I hate this. And then I remember I was on the phone to somebody and Emily came in and she said, "You hate your boobs, don't you?" Because I was talking about, I want a boob job, and and Emily went, "You hate your boobs," and I went, "No," I said, and then I stopped and I went, "No, I'm really proud of my body because my body had you, and like bigged my body up." And she was like, "All right, Mum, cool," but I was like, because they see that. If they see you picking everything apart, they will just be a mirror image of you.
That's it.
There's a video that's gone viral, and it made me really think. And it was a dad and it was a mum and a little baby sat playing. And every time the dad walked past, he put a chair under the mum's bum. And it was on like a Ring camera in the house and things like that. And then after the little toddler eventually started putting the chair under his mum's bum, and it's like they're seeing you, they watch you.
Yeah.
They're literally. Like,
absorb so much more than you think. I think they say it's like the first 7 years is where you're really
program
and absorb everything that you're going to keep there for life.
But even if you've had the worst 7 years of your life and you're now 30 or 20, you can change that program.
Of course,
it's not
that's
downloaded.
It. We're in control of that. It's just that's what we're taking in that moment and absorbing from the environment around us. But definitely. Once you're at an age and you're seeing things that you've carried through or might be traumatic or you're building fears, we're in so much more control of that than what we're let on to believe as well.
Yes, 100%. The limitation of what we think go beyond it because we're only limiting ourselves. Like the things that we believe and stuff, it's just unreal. Like I've become very spiritual, especially the last few years, and I think. Like when you say to my friends, "Oh yeah, I did meditation," and they're like, "Okay, she's gonna start telling us that she's gonna start speaking to people." I'm like, "Yes, I am."
Guru Lauren coming out,
literally. But it's very difficult. I found it very difficult up until recently to put it into practice. So I know it all. I've read the books, but why am I not putting it into practice? And something has to click. And then when it clicks, you go, "Hold up, why didn't I do this?
Why have you not been
why am I not doing this in the future?"
Yeah. But then at the same time, I guess you do that when you're ready to do it, and it's the right sort of timing on that journey, isn't it? Because at the same time, I don't want to, and this is what I can do that I'm really trying to turn around now. So this book I've been reading, it's got like tasks and stuff in it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try and do all those tasks this week. Yeah. All of them. Like my spiritual journey is going to be done and dusted this week. I will know everything
35
about everything by the end. And and so it's taking my foot off the pedal and being like, let it be a natural spiritual journey and progression.
Enjoy the journey.
Well. Yeah, that's it. Enjoying it. Because then once you start enjoying it, you're not thinking about what's happened or what's coming or anything. You're just enjoying it, and it's so peaceful that it's very uncomfortable actually at first because you're used to more chaos.
Like what's going on?
What's going on? Like why do I feel so peaceful and why is this not feeling stressful anymore? And then you get used to that you're just like, oh no, I want it to be like this all the time.
And it's funny because a lot of people have actually picked up my energy. Like they'll say to me, "You're quiet," and I'll go, "Am I?" But I feel exactly the same. But what happened was, because when I used to be around groups of people, I used to be like, I want these people to like me, so I would be like talking and I'd be like the entertainer per se. I'd be like trying to keep everyone happy and I'm just like, I don't need to entertain you. Entertain yourselves.
And so it's just permission now to
be as I am and be content.
As you are. And know that. And I feel like lockdown really taught me that. I feel like I went through lockdown and came out of lockdown in a much more spiritual place. So what I had gone into it and really worked on self-acceptance there because I was very like that, people pleasing and really conscious of what people thought of me all the time, so much more than I thought.
I think do you not think that was an aspect because of being bullied?
Yeah, definitely.
I always felt like I was never enough. So then I was always like, I have to be enough for all these people.
And so I was the opposite way though. People would call me the quietest person.
So you would be the quiet one in the room.
Now I need shutting up sometimes because I'm just like, once I'm comfortable, I'm just like, la, 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 la. But can still go back to being that quiet person again, and it's just because I'm uncomfortable.
Does that depend on the circumstance?
Yeah. So put me in a new circle of people, and depending on how we vibe or what I'm picking up energetically, and then I think as you get spiritual, you pick up other people's stuff from the get-go. And so when you're starting to take all that in so early before you've even spoke to this person or whatever, that sort of is the decision for me of whether my wall goes up. So any sort of triggers or anything that, especially like hierarchy, has a lot to do with this. I think sometimes if someone, I feel like it within their energy and presence is trying to make me feel like belittle me, I automatically will shut down, back up. And I think it's not always a case now of like I don't feel worthy. It's more of a case now of like I'm not letting that energy
I'm stopping it,
because I've done too much work now for you to do that. I don't give you permission now, and so let it in. Do you know what I mean?
And I think when you can say to people, no, do not speak to me like that. And I try and teach this to my eldest. I keep saying, if someone's horrible to you, and they will be, because there are people that, I always say, sad people make sad people.
Yes.
And I'm like, that's the reason. Then if they're happy, I don't want to make anyone sad. I want to bring everyone up to my level.
Agree with that,
but I can't. I want to bring you up to my level, but I'm not going to drag you. You have to come. You have to be willing. You have to put the work in. You have to. And I'm not saying that I'm up here and you're down here. What I'm saying is, if you're always sad and you want to be like, I want to better myself, and I will happily help you. I will happily guide you.
But if you can't help yourself,
I can't do anything.
There's nothing you can do about it. No.
And you hear, like, so many people come to me and they're like, I want to do this and I want to do this. And I'm like, right, let's do it. But then they just don't. And I'm like, and I got frustrated because I was like, I can see the potential, but you can't force them to drink.
No,
like it is what it is.
And I think that's something I've recently given up trying to do is, and it's so hard, isn't it? Especially when you're a caring person as well. You want, and you've done work yourself to help yourself. You want to see everyone benefit from
work,
that same thing.
Well, so I started in the beginning of January. I did a 30-day free course where people joined my course. It was a free cold water therapy, and it was basically just, I'm going to talk you through what to do every single day to do cold water, because I know that you're going to feel bloody brilliant at the end of it, right? And some people, like, I had a good group of people and they're all doing really, really well. I am so incredibly proud of them, but I can't force them to get in that shower. I can't force them to get in that water. I can just advise them and go, try this. If you want to do it, great. If you don't, that's fine.
And I think that's the case with guidance and teachers, is that you can help people with a certain percentage, but ultimately it's got to come from them.
Because otherwise you will find that, and this is what I used to do, is I put on all my energy into making other people try and do something. And I'm like, I can't do that. I'm not your parent.
No.
I mean, I might literally be your parent.
And you're your own person, and you can't be more than one person.
And I think that's it as well. I think especially when I had Isla, I lost my identity. And I think a lot of it has been, well, who am I? Because I know that I am Lauren, the business owner, the mum, the sister, the daughter. But who am I? Like, what makes me tick? And I felt like I lost my identity, and so many mums feel that way. And I think so many people do in general, especially if they've got a job that they don't like. Or, I think people lose their way in their direction.
Motherhood's a big one, isn't it, for that?
Yeah, massively. But I think if you start going, right, okay, what makes me happy? And then it's like, it could be literally anything. It could be colouring. It could be just turning your phone off and not speaking to people and not socialising. Whatever makes you happy, go with it.
Go and do that.
You don't need to explain
yourself. And it doesn't have to be like a big drastic change and it's completely like out of routine and stuff. Like, that can be something really small. Like the high-fiving in the mirror in the morning.
High-five in the mirror. Try it.
Yeah, definitely.
It's incredible.
I've stopped now going on my phone first thing. It's such a bad habit of just like, as soon as I get up, straight on my data. So I purposely don't switch my data on now, because I just switch it off at night. So I don't want notification stuff coming through. And then priorities, like make myself a brew, have some time to just sit still or do a meditation, write in my gratitude journal. Have to do that. I mean, it's might have slipped up a little bit today because I was taking my plots off.
Yeah,
because I was like, I'm gonna get this, and then but it's mindfully there of like, make sure this is a priority today, and that's what is great about making it part of your routine.
Yeah, I think that's important. Yeah, having a routine is important.
Definitely, that's it. It's making it part of life and your normality.
Yeah.
This book that I was on about. So I did want to bring this up because I knew we would end up talking about. I knew exactly what we would end up talking about Tuesday. But exactly why I love you for it and why I want you to come on. What it taught me the most was like about the subconscious.
Yeah.
And so I suppose I knew this, but I hadn't really seen it in writing. And the way it was explained in this book was like the light bulb just went off, and I was like, damn, what the heck? Like, this makes so much sense. Yeah. And it was so simply perfectly making sense as well.
Yeah.
And so it was saying how the subconscious is the things of what you fear and the doubt. Yeah. And when we're going to do things, the subconscious is there going, but really? Should you do this? Or you can't do this because of this. And so you're working in your subconscious a lot of the time. Yeah. And actually your conscious is the other part of that, the contrasting side. And so trying to work on repetitions, this is why mantras are good and repetition is good, is because you're training your subconscious the other way. And so like, and a lot of people will probably agree with this, we've all wrote our gratitude and mantras and then gone, that's it for the day. I've done that this morning. I wrote 10 things I was grateful for. I've done my mantras. I said that mantra this morning, but it's consistency with it, because you have to actually train the subconscious
to do it and believe it,
flip it around. And so actually it was encouraging to say your mantras on a recording because it's your voice, so you're more likely to believe it and to listen to it at night, because in the evening is where your subconscious is at the most vulnerable,
right before bed.
And I was like, oh my god. And I think it was knowing that I finally found something where I've had like power to actually really go for this now and turn things around. And you know, it really coincides with what you were saying about changing the words around. But I was like, God, my subconscious has worked hard.
Good girl.
Put a